Well, hey, good morning, everyone. This is actually Sunday, March 15th, and while we're all supposed to be on spring break, I thought that I would get you a little bit of information on your test, which will happen at some point. But I thought I would accompany this with some kitten videos because it just seems to me like we all need kitten videos, and this one seems a little bit out of control. But there's some ones that are kind of cute, so we'll check in periodically. Anyway, we are going to ultimately have our Chapter 25 test. It was supposed to be in 2 days, but we're going to be sleeping in 2 days, so maybe not. But in any event, it's either going to come to us in class within the next week or two, or we're just going to go to online, in which case I have ported the test over. So let me just give you some pointers on how to proceed. So this is our packet, and I don't know, this group of, how to write these things up with hypotheses and assumptions and whatnot may be a little dated, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Just remember, all chi-square curves are skewed to the right. All chi-square tests are right tail tests, and they just depend on degrees of freedom. Remember, as your degrees of freedom go up, this curve becomes more and more symmetric, but it never becomes normal. This thing starts at 0 and goes to infinity. Normal curves go from negative to positive infinity, and they're symmetric about 0. So they have nothing in common. So this will never approach normal. Just keep that in mind. We didn't use the table too much. I hope you can rely on chi-square CDF, which is from your chi-square number to infinity, comma, with degrees of freedom in your calculator. Remember, we did the M&M's activity. That was fun. And that brought us to this page right here. And we had to make some additions to it, which I'll try to remember. First of all, we had 3 different tests, not 2. The one proportion was goodness of fit. That matched up with the M&M's. And then we had the couple of 2-ways. This is only showing test of independence, but we also had test of homogeneity. They're all based on the chi-square statistic, where we do observed minus expected squared divided by expected for each little category, and then we add them all up to get a total for discrepancy. And that's pretty much what chi-square does. It shows how much you're deviating from expected based on, HO being true. Remember, your chi-square statistic is the sum of weighted differences. Weighted insofar as a difference of 10 is more meaningful when the numbers are smaller than when the numbers are bigger from your observed to expected. These chi-square density facts were good. Remember, degrees of freedom are n-1 for goodness of fit, but we had more complicated formula for the other 2. Remember, we took out this approach as normal, so no, none of that. Tests are always one-sided, no confidence intervals. All right, so observed minus expected squared divided by expected, that's a formula to know. Chi-square CDF, and those are your parameters. And So assumptions, randomness, all expected values are at least 5. Remember, we added on populations are at least 10 times the sample size. All right, so if you got a one-way table, it's goodness of fit. So make sure you're able to do those things, from beginning to end. Look at your examples, look at your homework, and be able to do it. Now, on your test, the actual act of doing this is going to be a little bit lessened because there's a lot of multiple choice on this one. So, but you still ought to be able to do them. And this, we had homework, which we talked about. Then we had the 2-way kinds. The homogeneity came up first. 2 populations, 1 characteristic. One major formula I had you memorize, so it showed up here and here. That's how to get an expected cell count. Remember that when you run the test, you have access to those, so you don't need the formula to just run the test formally, but you will need the formula for just a question concerning the formula. Row marginal total times column marginal total over grand total is your expected count. This is your write-up for a chi-square test of homogeneity. Remember, we just needed random samples. Don't worry about independence. All expected values are at least 5, and populations are 10 times the sample sizes. Remember, you have multiple populations here, so you need plural. And you need to know how to calculate your degrees of freedom. Remember, it's number of rows minus 1 times number of columns minus 1. Otherwise, you're going to get a chi-square, you're going to get a p-value, degrees of freedom, and you reject or fail to reject based on comparing to alpha or strength of evidence, you know. So this was about the dentist advertising. We ran through this in class, and this is a completed table. And remember, you got this expected count by doing this column total times this row total divided by the table total, right? And yeah, so that's your test of homogeneity. Just make sure you go over the ones you did for homework and you are able to do it. Test of independence, that differed. It was one large sample taken from a single population, 2 characteristics recorded. So they just took one large sample here, split them up by education, split them up by whether they liked or didn't like this cereal. But the key to knowing if you're in a test of independence are the key words. Dependency, dependent, independent, related to, associated with. Anything in your question that's like that is going to indicate a chi-square test of independence, right? Remember, HO is that, you do have a independence between whatever they are asking you for, here education level and taste preference, and then HA is that there is a dependency. Remember, HO is no difference, no change. In this case, that they're not related, which means they're independent. Okay, so don't say HO is that they're dependent, because that's actually getting the whole thing backwards, right? So look over those. And we had homework over the same, and we moved from there to, yeah, and this was pretty good. This refresher, this was goodness of fit. This one here was independent, see the related to in the question. This one was just asking you about how to get the expected number of rural doctors who prescribe tetracycline. 61 times 200 divided by 440. I wonder how our cats are doing. Let's check. Oh, elephant insurance. Let's skip the ad and let's see what's up next. Proof that cats are the best. I don't know what's best about this cat. It's going to go tumbling down the stairs. Oh well, not as cute as the kittens. Let's see what this one does. Right, I bet it crawls right up the owner. Aw, that's cute. All right, back to what we were doing. Oh, look. It's not eating the birds. Every cat I ever had ate the birds. Anyway, this is just asking you about the formula, and this one, does quality appear to be evenly distributed? That's homogeneity. All right, then we had a day where we interpreted computer output. I do have a video posted on that, so please feel free to check that out. I'm not going to reteach it here. This is a good review. It's assigned. And here is an interesting question. When you have perfect independence, then your observed and your expected are exactly the same. So this expected should be 35, this should be 10, this should be 52. That will help you answer the question. All right, all of this is posted. Review number 2 actually is not assigned. It's a good review to do. I would advise maybe that you find a moment to do it. Why not? TV is going to get pretty boring, but it's up to you. And all of these keys are posted. All right. I don't know if we'll ever get to this AP review worksheet. We'll see. I haven't really assigned anything yet. So when that time comes, either this will be part of it or it won't. We'll see. So what's the test going to look like? Well, it really depends on what the district tells us is coming up. I have it printed out on paper. It is mostly multiple choice, easy and quick to grade. Not all of it is, but a good part of it, I would say 85–90% of it. So yeah, I would just make sure I had a good handle on all the nuance. If it goes online, then it's going to be pretty much the same thing. I've already ported it up to Canvas to see how it would work. It's going to work great. And let's check the cats real quick. Sleepy cat. All right, anyway, so if it goes online and we're going to take it online, then it's going to be 2.5 hours. That should accommodate anybody's need for extra time or their published accommodations. But what I would probably advise you not to do, I mean, I can't really keep you from having your notes in your lap while you take it. I'm not going to be there to monitor, but I wouldn't work in tandem with anybody else because everybody could get a very different form of the test because it should be scrambled. And if you say, all right, the answer for number 3 is the third one, well, it may be the first one for the person you're talking to. So I would advise you against it. I'm just giving you fair warning because I really don't want to deal with the aftermath of some of you getting like 10s and 20s because you're not showing, our code of conduct. Even at home, we're supposed to, be upstanding citizens. So anyway, don't cheat. Open notes, I can't stop you, but collaborating with another person, that's not a good plan. Also, if you quit and come back, the time may keep running on you after you quit, and you may not have, an hour and a half, you may have 5 minutes, or the time may be gone. So once you sit down to take it online, don't get up, all right? I mean, you can because there's plenty of time. You should get done early if you need a restroom break or something, but really, if you're going to just stop and then come back to it the next day, it'll probably be over, all right? So pick out a time where you won't be bothered, take your test, and then be done with it, all right? It's supposed to be good grades. Historically, this test is, but don't screw it up. What are the cats doing? Oh, it's just elephants. Oh, he's watching you. Don't cheat on your test. Are you cheating? Better not be. All right, everyone. I'm just going to call it a halt here, and let's see if the cat. Oh! Fail. All right. Be good. Be safe. We'll talk soon.